know what time it is. It's Storytime Tuesday. Raw and uncut. That's why it's kind of janky, the way I like it. Raw and uncut. Storytime Tuesday is where I write a story and you pick it up where I left off or where somebody else left off. We're on episode 3. Also, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. I have a whole new setup. I don't know if you noticed, it looks a little bit more, it looks a little, and the angle is and the stuff is ooh. I don't know if y'all digging it. I don't know. Do y'all dig anything I do? Yeah. So, we had Sep. He was a baby. Then he met the blacksmith. And now we're on part 3. Somebody submitted their part of the story, and I'm going to read it here, raw and uncut. I might mess up somewhere and along the way and all that other good stuff, but I'm going to do it. Are you ready? Let's go. It is called, they named it. I didn't even name it. They doing big things. Sep's Trek Day. He's trekking. Sep woke with a start and sat up so quickly he hit his head on the wooden beam above the hayloft. These are a lot of big words, man. Maybe hayloft isn't a very big word, but there's some tongue twisting in it. I'm gonna restart it. I'm gonna restart it because, ooh. All right. Sep woke with a start and sat up so quickly he hit his head on the wooden beam above the hayloft the blacksmith had been kind enough to let him sleep in. He had hardly slept, maybe 2 broken hours though, through the night. His tongue was thick and dry in his mouth. His eyes burned from the dust and dander kicked up by the family of pigs he shared the space with. His bones ached. He had spent most of his life in luxury few citizens would ever experience. No one would recognize him thus far out from the elvish kingdom, but he did miss the luxuries. What he wouldn't give now for a taste of honeyed mead, the feel of silk against his skin. Silky. And most importantly, the soft yet firm warmth of a proper bed. No. Sep shook his head as he spoke the word in the direction of the old fat pig, snuffling for scraps in the corner of the barn. I'm not that elf anymore. Prince Sepultura is dead. Apprenticing for the blacksmith, bedding down with hogs in barn, that was life now. And for the honor of keeping that life, Sep would have to prove himself. And in order to prove himself, Sep would have to do something very few citizens would ever consider doing. He would have to venture into the wandering woods. Elf, the blacksmith's voice boomed to the rafters. Pigs scattered and squealed as the heavy-footed old man shuffled past them. Coming, Sep shouted back as he scrambled down the rickety ladder. Rickety ladder! I like it. Here's what you're looking for, grumbled the old blacksmith, thrusting a small parcel wrapped in cloth towards Sep. Sep opened the parcel and was nearly blinded by the piece as he uncovered it. It was an ore unlike any he had ever seen. It wasn't silver or platinum, but it was light in color. Lavender was a better descriptive for it, but it shone as if lit from within. It was flattened, turned up at the edges like a shallow bowl. It won't shine like that raw. It has to be worked and polished. What you'll be looking for is much harder to spot. I haven't any raw to show you. This stuff is too rare and too dear to leave raw. This piece paid for the whole operation last year. It'll be sent to Her Majesty in a fortnight. Sep ran the tip of his finger gently along the edge of the brilliant little bowl. How will I ever when I see if it's raw? You won't. You'll have to use your ears for this, one elf. The blacksmith pulled a tiny golden hammer from his chest pocket. He tapped it carefully against the bowl. A tone rang out much louder than Sepp was expecting. It was clear and high and filled his chest with warmth. Ding! I'm guessing that's what it's going to sound like. The blacksmith took the parcel back and wrapped it back up with care, placing it gently in a small wooden box before slipping it in his uppermost pocket. He pulled out another smaller box, lined with soft cloth, and placed the hammer inside. The blacksmith pulled a bag off his shoulder and handed it to Sepp along with the tiny box. There's a skin of water in there and food enough for 3 days' journey and back. If it takes you longer than that, I don't expect you'll make it back at all. You're a dead elf. I said that. Sepp took the bag and the box and stood staring at them. 3 days there and back, he repeated. You have a knife? The blacksmith asked in a tone suggesting he did not expect a yes from Sepp. I have this. Sepp slung the bag over his shoulder and squatted down, reaching into one of its boots. He stood up and presented a finely wrapped dagger made of dark iron, with black stone sparkling in its hilt. Bah! You'll need a real knife out there in those woods, not a shiny toy. The blacksmith reached into another of his larger pockets and pulled out a knife, twice the size of Sepp's dagger, with a wide blade curved on one side and flat on the other. Now, mind you, don't cut yourself. Might want to try a few practice swings on a 3 or 2 before entering the woods proper. Sepp grabbed a knife, took a deep breath, gulped, and nodded. He stuck it in his bag and walked towards the barn doors. He turned back before walking through them. Any parting wisdom? ? Advice for if I come face to face with the beast of the woods? The blacksmith scoffed. My advice? Don't. You'd make a nice mouthful for any number of those monsters out there. Caves are best for finding the ore, but beasts love the caves, so keep both eyes open and one hand on the blade. Eyes open, blade in hand. See you in 6 days. Sepp marched out of the barn and towards the dirt path that would take him the 3 miles to the edge of the woods. He didn't look back. He couldn't bear to let the blacksmith see the fear on his face after he had put on in the workshop the night before. So he was, I'm brave, I'm Sepp. Sepp never imagined himself venturing to the woods. He had heard tales of an elfling as his nursemaid's knee, tales of paths that changed while you walked them, of beasts that called your name and swallowed you whole before you could even see them. How much of the tales were the truth and had never wanted to confirm by his own sense, but there was nothing left for Sepp. No way out but through those woods and back into the blacksmith's barn. He set foot on the dirt path, shrugged the bag further. Shrugged the bag further up on his small shoulder and set off on his trek. Maybe I should start practicing these things. Maybe I should read it before I do this. Or maybe I'll like it raw and uncut like this, where I just fumbled the ball. Well, you heard the story. Sepp is headed to the woods, 3 days. Please, send your submission, and I will read it on the channel. You know where to send it, popcornandporkrinds@gmail.com. Let me know. Do you like the way it looks here? Did I mess up too badly on reading that story? Let me know everything, because apparently a lot of people let me know a lot of things from the other stuff that I've uploaded, if you know what I mean. But thank you for tuning in to Popcorn and Pork Rinds. Sensei out.